Hi, this is Dr. Eric Fields. So I get asked this question a lot, which is why do people develop these unhealthy food issues or food dependencies in the first place? Well, there are many, many reasons, but I'm going to list a few of the most common reasons. So the first one is an inadvertent association. So an association is when this occurs, this occurs. So let's say you're feeling really upset about something and you eat some food and it does something for you. It takes your mind off of whatever it was that was upsetting you, um, or it produces some kind of pleasant effects. And you didn't intend to use it for that reason, but because it had these effects that seem to counter this negative feeling that you had, um, an association has been developed. And so now in your mind, it's whenever I feel badly, I use food and it makes me feel better. Okay. So that's like a general kind of reason. The second kind of reason is confusing the feeling of being physically full with being personally fulfilled. And so a lot of times in our mind, those two words, since they sound so much alike and do share some similarity in meaning, get confused with one another. And so when we're not feeling so fulfilled in our life, we're thinking, well, we need to feel more fulfilled. So therefore, we need to be full, and full meaning physically full. A third reason I kind of alluded to with the first one, this may be more of a conscious determination that you make, which is I don't like having distressing thoughts or memories, these bothersome thoughts or memories that pop into my mind. So therefore, I'm going to eat and distract myself. The process of consuming food and the whole ritual around it, preparing the food, eating the food, you know, reading the labels on the food containers as you're eating them. It's a very distracting process. And it does work in the sense that it does distract you temporarily from distressing thoughts and memories. Another reason, food, especially sugar, can produce a sort of high, a food high. And so if you're experiencing unpleasant feelings like anxiety or depression, it's almost like a way of self-medicating, where it's like, well, I don't like feeling these icky feelings, so therefore I want to feel something pleasant. And so a food high, especially from sugar, can do that for us. Those are some of the most common reasons, but it's certainly not an exhaustive list. But if you look at each and every reason, whether or not it happened, more inadvertently, or it happened more intentionally, food serves functions for you other than just filling you up, in the sense of satisfying biological needs. It fulfills rather psychological needs. And these needs can be extremely powerful. And these needs are being served after you are already feeling, satisfied physically. In other words, you've consumed enough food where you're not hungry, and you don't have any hunger pangs or anything like that, and you're feeling very satisfied. So the reason why you eat past that point, or when you're eating when you're not hungry, has to do with fulfilling these kinds of psychological functions. So one of the things that I work with people on is dealing with these unhealthy food urges the ones that say we need to use food because we're not feeling well, because we have these distressing thoughts or memories, et cetera. To deal with these urges and cravings, I teach the people that I work with a variety of techniques. And some of the techniques have to do with challenging those thoughts and calling them out for what they are, because um, lots of times they're irrational, they're distorted, or their logic is just downright inappropriate and unhealthy, right? Because of the long-term consequences and how it makes us feel afterwards. The other set of techniques that I like to use a lot has to do with not reacting to them, not challenging them, not fighting them, but just kind of letting them exist and learning that just because you have these urges and it feels like you need to do something about them, you don't. And so that in and by itself can be very irrational and inappropriate when an urge makes us feel like we have to eat when we don't have to eat because we're satisfied physically. Um, and understanding that you can have these urges and cravings, but you don't have to do anything about them. For more on this topic, stay tuned. This is Dr. Eric Fields.